Recording. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first Cars and Coffee of 2021, and wishing you all a happy and hopefully a better new year than last year. We made it through, don't know how, but we're going to keep chugging along. This has to be a better year. Welcome to Cars and Coffee. I'm Kenny Brown, and over the next hour or so, I'm going to be sharing a lot of my background and knowledge and expertise that I developed over a long time. And what I do is, this is Cars and Coffee was created just because I had so many people that just wanted to get into my head, wanted to ask me questions. So this is kind of the format. I talk about in Cars and Coffee what you guys want to learn about. The subject matter pretty much comes from the Speed Therapy Society Facebook group. I get questions out of there, and that's why I kind of shape my my Saturday morning talks about. Oh, don't forget, you can be sending your questions in live, and I'll answer them towards the end. So if you really want to know about, get the real information about cars and performance, you're in the right place. Like I say, I've got over 40 years of building fantastic cars in professional motorsports. Also, as a side note, 7 national championships in SCCA Pro Racing, racing Mustangs, which, I'd say that's pretty good cred. So what are we going to do today? Okay, we've got kind of an interesting morning lined up. On the tech side, Rich said he gets a lot of questions from people on my alignment specs, that why they're different from factory and why they're different from anybody else. Experience is the best thing to say. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to do a little trip down memory lane. As a lot of you know, we moved into a house in September in the neighborhood next to our grandkids, to be close to them. And with the COVID, we can't hardly see them, which is but anyway, in the process, we got, I can't tell you how many boxes upon boxes upon boxes. So we're slowly trying to get through them, and being off for 2 weeks, last 2 Saturdays, gave us a chance to do sort of start making a dent in tons of boxes. Anyway, what I'm getting to in the process, we ran across a whole bunch of memorabilia. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of just show you guys something we ran across. And oh, you're probably wondering about the artwork today. Well, it's really not artwork, it's a photo. This was actually Carrie's choice. We unearthed this. This is me in the Red Rocket back in 97, maybe. That was a car that was in like lots and lots of magazines. We did a ton of supercharged Cobras in 87, 88, 89. And we, like, the base version was the C4S. And then what would happen is, because the pistons are so weak in the mod motors in those years, that if you had what they did is they moved the ring lands all the way up to the top of the pistons, and they weren't really, the OE type pistons, and the top of the ring land, top of the piston was super thin, and if you got any kind of bad gas, any kind of detonation, you burn a piston and you poof, the motor be gone. So what our answer was, when we had people burn up motors, not in their own accord, they were just because of gas. Because back then we didn't have the level of calibration we have today. All we could use is fuel pressure at that point to increase the fuel for the supercharger. Anyway, what I'm getting to is what we do is we rebuild them. We put in forged rods and forged pistons, and we overbore it to 289. We thought that was kind of a really good number, because they're, that has some real history behind it. So then they'd be called the 289 RS, and that's what the Red Rocket was, a 289 RS. And we actually broke that motor at Pocono doing filming for Motor Week. We discovered something very interesting that we carried forward, is that coming off the big banks at Pocono and diving down into the infield, really, really hard deceleration because of the downhill and braking. We spun some bearings. And when we got back and started talking to the engineers at Ford, essentially what happened is, under super hard decel, all the oil wants to slosh up out of the pan into the front cover. Well, once it gets there, the timing chain becomes a really effective oil pump, pumping all that oil up to the top of the motor and oil starvation. So, well, knowing that, we have started making our own oil, modifying our own oil pans, and we add some sides to them, add some volume, a little baffling in the bottom. We also put a fence at the very front to slow down or stop the migration of the oil. Anyway, the picture, that's the Red Rocket. It was in that time, it was a 289 RS. And we did quite a few of those. It's kind of interesting. We bought, 20, 30 plus superchargers from Vortec, but because that car and some of my other supercharged Cobras were in so many publications, Vortec supercharger sales for Cobras went through the roof. So I guess people pay attention to what I do.
Actually, Amy found an article on the Red Rocket.
Oh.
And Amy, if you're here today, why don't you post that in the comments so people can take a look out on that. And we'll also post it maybe on our Facebook page later this week.
Cool. Yeah, we keep unearthing all this really cool stuff. Well, I see Cliff out there today, Larry, Brian West, Joe Johnson, some of our graduates, let's say, of the Speed Therapy, alumni of the Speed Therapy Academy. Larry's out there. I saw some other people, but the thing moves up too fast for me to see. So anyway, we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. On the show and tell part actually ties into a question. We're going to talk a little bit about IRS again. As you guys know, that when it comes to IRS and Mustangs, this is the place. And we'll get into that in a little bit. And also, we got, this is with a new year, a lot of people start thinking about what are they going to do? The season's coming up. Everybody kind of sat on their hands last year and really are itchy to get going this year. Well, don't forget my 15-minute complimentary consults where I can either answer your technical questions that are like a little too complex to answer on Saturday mornings, or if you're looking to get some direction on a build plan, schedule a 15-minute consult. I'll be happy to talk to you. And anybody that knows the program and knows me, that what your access to me is like nothing else in the market. I mean, it's like just dialing into a huge encyclopedia of cool stuff. So, and my producer's coming up here again.
Well, you forgot to mention who's in the photo over there with you.
Oh, is Calvin here today?
Well, ask him.
Hey, Calvin, are you out there? Calvin, that's actually Calvin's head sticking over there.
Calvin used to work for us.
Yeah, Calvin used to work for us. And he pops up on Cars and Coffee every now and again. Okay, Annabus, I see you're here today. Mike Charles, Mr. Celine. Calvin is. There you are, Calvin. There's your head up there. So, okay, so let's see, where was I? Oh, 15-minute, we can do some planning. And then remember the questions, the core of the questions come from Speed Therapy Society. If you're not a member, please join. There's amazing, cool stuff. Probably should do a shout out to Brad over the holidays on the Speed Therapy Society or Facebook?
No,
Facebook.
Kenny Brown
He did. He came up with a whole bunch of information, all the famous drivers that I've worked with over the years, or they've driven cars that I prepared, and it's it's pretty extensive.
He also came up with all the top 20 cars of all time that you've built.
Oh, the top 20 cars of all time I built, yeah. And there's probably at least 500 serialized Kenny Brown cars out there. And to be a serialized Kenny Brown car, it has to have a specific group of chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes. Remember that? And also then some performance added to it. But anything that's like a complete package that I develop becomes a serialized car. And we have like core packages at different price points. And from there, actually every single car is sort of semi-custom because we start with a base package that's in a specific price range. And then I work with you, and we get the content that's right for your application, your aspirations, and also your budget. So, I mean, you won't find that anywhere else too, but that's how serialized cars become in existence. Steve Foley's out there, I see. Steve, we're getting pretty close on the you-know-what for your rear suspension. We should be doing some more test fitting next week. We're getting close. When we get there, I'll let you know. and keep everybody else hanging. It's just too good. But we'll, for the rest of you, hopefully mid-month in Speed Therapy Society, we'll have a special event to talk about my new ground shaking rear suspension that we've actually have filed a patent on.
So that's Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society.
Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society.
You need to make sure you say it because there's another Speed Therapy
Yeah,
Society.
I guess there's another Speed Therapy Society trying to move in our action, I think.
No, I think we were moving another action.
We'll call it the other way.
Okay.
But anyway, Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society.
It's a private Facebook.
Private Facebook group. Anyway, let me know if you want to build something or if you have some technical questions, just sign up. You find out pretty darn easy to talk to. Let's see what we have on here. I'll answer your questions, and I'm going to get this without you telling me. If you're just joining us, I'm Kenny Brown, and this is Cars and Coffee, where I share my 40-plus years of professional motorsports and building incredibly cool cars, one of which is back there, that my own personal 289 RS. It's a 97 Cobra. We did a lot of 4-valve stuff back there. And watch parties. You can start a watch party right now by clicking the button in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, upper right-hand corner, click that button and just invite your friends. That's starting to be a very popular thing. We have a lot of people doing watch parties. If you think your friends can benefit from some of the things that I share, please have them join us. The more the merrier. And don't forget those thumbs and little heart-shaped wrenches. Let's see. And if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, please subscribe to the newsletter because we are actually making some changes, and we're going to make it more of a newsletter for 2021. And anyway, it's on the newsletter list. Has already seen the changes that we're initiating. Chuck Foley's there. Let's see. So Facebook group, flip over. I already talked about the artwork. That was it's like writing the picture. How you get away from that? That's something we uncovered. It was wrapped up in a big sheet. And Carrie decided that was her choice for art for this month, for this week anyway. So let's get into some of our questions. I mentioned we're going to get into IRS, and Douglas has asked about IRS wheel hop, front suspension, and including straight line grip while not compromising handling if possible. Okay. When it comes to my IRS packages, suspension packages, that would be AGS 3.5. AGS stands for Advanced Geometry Suspension Systems. And 3.0 is the SN95 cars, and 3.5 is 99-04 Cobras. And for those that don't know, Genesis, the original DNA for all of my advanced geometry suspension systems, up through 4.0, which is S197, soon to be 4.5. It goes all the way back to the 86, 87 Celine, our endurance cars that I engineered, built, and managed to 4 national championships in SCCA Pro Endurance Racing. So anyway, that was the start of the AGS systems, and we talked about that another time, so I won't get into that, about how I worked with Mike Jones at Ford to come up with some geometry changes for the front. It was pretty crafty in how I actually did that. But anyway, that was 1, and then 2 was the fixed strut, and 3 we had like the Track It Plus in the back with a panner bar, and then 3.5 was the IRS. And I've got so much experience with IRSs. If we could pull up the first picture of our presentation. Okay, it's little, it's not big. There we go. Okay, it was really weird. I ran across this yesterday. And this is a Triumph Spitfire. And Triumph Spitfires have IRS. And in fact, this is what I worked on in the 70s, was I did a lot of open wheel SCCA cars. and they all had, you know, IR open wheels and Formula Ford, Formula Atlantic, Formula V's. They all had IRSs in the back. So, I mean, it's something I work with a lot. But this I love this picture. It's Spitfire, and it shows just the what can happen with an OE type IRS when you're trying to go around a corner. And you can see that you know, the rear wheels are doing funky things. In fact, they acted a whole lot like the swing axles on the Volkswagens and the Formula V's that we did. So, you know, I mean, that's what I worked with back in the 70s. So, you know, I knew the good points and bad points of IRS. And that's what when IRS came out in '99, you know, the Mustang world went into apoplexy because they were just, you know, like straight line, live axle guys. They didn't know what to do with it. Well, me, I knew exactly what to do with it. I fixed it, so it works. So anyway, we can take that down. I'll get back to my talking about IRS. So, okay, here's the thing. You want to improve handling, you know, straight line grip handling, not improve straight line grip, but not compromising handling if possible. Well, I mean, that's not a problem with AGS 3.5, which is the rear grip, the front grip kit. Handling is improved dramatically. Straight line performance is improved dramatically. What I do in a geometry it just changes everything. In fact, the stages we go through on the IRS, because people call us all the time. IRS is getting really popular, by the way. It's making a big resurgence. A lot of people are putting them into SN95s that don't have IRS, and also Fox. There's a lot of IRS going into Fox cars. And people think, well, doesn't that add a whole lot of weight? Well, yes and no. The IRS by itself is pretty heavy, but we take we change it to coilover suspension and tubular control arms. We take like 40 some pounds out of it, which only makes it, you know, not that much heavier than a live axle when we're done. So anyway, getting back to, you know, how do we go about, you know, wheel hop? The reason there's wheel hop is because there's mushy bushings is the best way to put it, and not very much anti-squat, and soft springs and weak shocks. Well, what happens is you know, the tire will grip, and as it grips, it'll like move things in the suspension, and it moves so far that it'll let go, and that's when wheels start hopping. And with the soft factory OE springs and, you know, street type shocks, there's just not enough there to control it. So I mean, you know, controlling wheel hopping, it starts. We have a plan that starts very basically. And step one is what we call phase one in the front grip, and we do a couple of things. First, we add a forward torque brace. Now, where the differential is, the forward torque brace from the factory is it's kind of pretty much thin, wimpy tubing, and it's just squished at the ends, so it moves a lot. As you can see, there's no bends in here. It's just straight tubing, and it's just solid as a rock. Then the next thing we do is we get rid of the bushings from the differential, get rid of those rubber bushings. And I've come up with something that's pretty cool. It does like multiple things all in one package. This is our, can't see it very well. There you go. That is our aluminum diff bushing kit. And this is what it kind of looks like. And you can see that there's the main body. Now, it was originally designed with all these washers on top. But what we found is that we can use these to adjust the pinion angle. So all the cars we do, we put the washers in the bottom, and the differential sits like right here. These washers do. Why do we add pinion angle? Well, back in, I can't remember, 2000, somewhere in there, there was a problem with the Cobras with driveline vibration. And we had one customer that had been, I think he was like from Kentucky, not too far away, had been in the dealership multiple times with the vibration. They replaced the drive shaft, they replaced this, they replaced that. Vibration was still there. He brought it to us, we put these in, increased the pinion angle, poof, vibration was magic, went away. But the other thing that this does, it's a solid mount, so the differential is not going to bounce around on rubber, and it's going to be mounted hard to the forward torque brace. And by having those little, this is all aluminum washers, that also acts as kind of like a heat sink. So to help pull some temperature out of the differential. Now it's not the all within to pull all the heat out of the differential, but IRS differentials, because there is little aluminum lump that's mounted in rubber. When they get hot, there's no place for the heat to migrate. That's why if you go on track with an IRS car, you have to have a rear diff cooler. Otherwise, you're going to overheat the differential. With a live axle, you got all the tubes and everything. You got a lot of metal mass and surface area to deal with some of the heat. But this helps a little bit of the heat sink, and it also makes a solid mount and takes and increases pinion angle. The third part is our rear steer kit. Now, I don't have a complete rear steer kit to show you. Why? Because we sold out of them earlier in the week, and our new our rod ends did not magically appear on yesterday. It was on UPS like they were supposed to. So this is you get to see the rod now. And what we do on one end, we put a spherical bearing that we can use to lower the inside point. And the reason for that is I discovered, I can't remember, this is whenever we were doing the FR 500 stuff with Ford Racing, it had to be maybe 2003, somewhere in there, 2002. That Ford did a special S95 Mustang, had double wishbone front, and of course IRS in the back. And we were doing a media event at Road Atlanta, and there was all the Mustang magazine guys were there. And the only people that weren't Ford or Mustang magazines were myself, Max Pappas, and Rusty Wallace. And we did a whole day with, comparing the FR 500s with a Corvette and a Viper. And anyway, what I'm getting to is at the very end at the other end of Road Atlanta, there's two sharp right-hand turns. And I found that going around the second one, when I got to just a certain part of the turn, the back of the car would start to get loose. And I also found, this is before they had a little whoop-de-doo in there, coming up over the hill, that going over the bridge or under the bridge and down the hill, the last turn, the back of the car would get loose. And that's a pretty scary place for that to happen. Anyway, got back to the office and started plugging in the suspension pickup points. Well, actually, were already in my geometry program, but I took a little different look at it. And what I found is when the body got to a certain point of roll, like in a corner, both rear wheels would steer the wrong way. And that's why, you get to a certain point in the back and get loose, is because the wheels wouldn't go the other way. So we found by lowering the inner point, that would reduce some of the rear steer. And that would go on this end, and the other end goes out to the tie rod. It's interesting. I came out with the roll steer kit, and other people in the market came out with a bump steer kit for the back. Well, in my opinion, bump steer happens at the front of the car when you're going around a corner and you hit a bump and the steering wheel changes. That's bump steer. At the back of the car, when the car rolls and the steering and the rear wheels turn a different way, that's roll steer. So once again, I'm copied, but people don't know why I'm copied. He named it wrong. And they actually put, I think, like a rod end on the outside with washers and things. And the outside, oh, by the way, the outer tie rods, they're no longer in production for Ford. We talked one of our major suppliers into building them, so we have outer tie rods available. But as you can see, there's not much room out here. I mean, it's to change the outer point. I mean, you have to move it up quite a bit, and I just don't see how they can get that done out here. That's why we went on the inside. We actually improved that in level 4. Anyway, that's kind of level 1. And that starts to improve the grip. That takes some of the flex out, hard mounts a diff, and helps with the rear steer. We also have people tell us that it helps in straight line. They say that on the dyno, you can actually see the wheels move in and out without it. And when you put that in, they sort of stay straight. So there's your straight line stability. Now, stage 2 in the IRS is we add the 2 lower control arm and coilover shocks. Coilover shocks, they're actually custom built for me. to my specifications, and we have them either single adjustable or double adjustable. And the reason for that is with coilovers, I can put any spring rate in there I want. And people that have got coilover packages from us know that every coilover package customer talks to me, and I figure out what they're doing with their car, come up with the spring rate that's going to work for them. So anyway, we put the right spring in the back. So we improved the front as far in a differential for moving around, and we've taken the rubber bushings out of the lower control arm, and we've added real shock and real spring to control any movement. So it's kind of like phase 2. Phase 3, we add a 2-bill upper control arm, which takes the weight out. I don't know if you ever had one of the upper control arms up, and it weighs a ton. And then level 4 is like the pièce de résistance. We take the carrier, and in essence, we move all the points, all the pickup points, suspension pickup points. We add some anti-squat, which is there's only so much anti-squat you can add to an IRS car. Anti-squat has to do with how quickly how much the car drops in squat before it starts putting pressure on the tires. And without anti-squat, the car is going to drop a lot before it starts putting tire on the pressure. So add anti-squat, it's going to put pressure faster. That's why, like in our AGS 4.0 for the S197 Mustangs, we've got anti-squat built into the back, which is like grip. It's just all about front grip. Anyway, we add anti-squat, we move pickup points around, so we reduce the roll center migration. The roll center is the point that the back of the car wants to roll around, and kind of stabilizing that. And I've got exactly where I want it. I adjust it, and that's a secret where it is, but it's right where I want it, and it pretty much mirrors a lot of the race cars that I've worked on over the years. And we also, for the rear steer, we move that inner point down even more. So we take all the rear steer out, so those are always straight. So, that whole rear package it does amazing things. And then to tie together the front grip, which is the K-member, control arms, offset rack bushings, again, adds geometry, takes 40 pounds off the front. So, the whole package for SN95, Cobras, it works like a charm. And also for the front, I have coilover struts custom built for me based off of my preferred, let's say, shock valving. I've got a book about that thick of shock dynos, and there's certain things I like. And we went to Strange up in Chicago. We lived there, and I talked to Dimitri. I had all these dynos laid out. I said, this and this are the ones I like. Can you do that? He said, sure. So they're custom building the shocks to my specifications. And again, we can control spring rate. If you're on the street, it's going to be a lower rate. If you're on track, it's going to be a higher rate. Anyway, that's for the SN95. So as far as wheel hop, we take out the wheel hop. The front suspension has great geometry, which actually gives you tremendous stability at high speed because there's a whole bunch of caster built into it. People learn about caster in the Speed Therapy Academy, which I'll talk about in a minute. I think we spend 2 whole weeks just talking about suspension geometry in the Speed Therapy Academy, and why I do things so differently. So that's kind of like the whole package for the adding grip, straight line grip while not compromising handling. We add straight line grip and improve handling. So that's the whole package. And if you want to know more, schedule a 15-minute. We can chat about it. And Carrie is here.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we did a IRS workshop, 1-day workshop last year, I guess I can say, and we're planning another one this year. So look for it to be talked about in the Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society.
There you go. IRS workshop. Okay, moving right along. I hope I answered your questions, Douglas. This is Ellis. Now this is typically. Now, a question we wouldn't normally answer because it's not about a Mustang, but I thought it was interesting enough to share it with you. Now, his question, he's doing a 65 AC Cobra replica. I'm not sure, he doesn't say which one it is, and he's building it for autocross and track days. He said, now here's the question, what modifications do you recommend adding torsional stiffness? What is the ideal suspension geometry? And how do I set her up for endurance? Well, I'll work backwards for endurance. It's really simple. Overbuild everything. Heavy duty, everything. All grade 8 hardware. any parts or components you have, do next level up. Just, it's no difference than endurance racing. In endurance racing, we build things strong, hefty and strong, and just upscale, upsize everything for endurance, so it just lasts. But as far as without really physically looking at the car, this is really difficult for me to answer because I don't know which of there's a bunch of different quote Cobra replica kits out there. Some are better than others, and some are worse than others. I think there's more worse than others and better than others, because the people that build them they don't really understand that much about suspension geometry and chassis. Anyway, what I'm getting at about the best thing you can do in the Speed Therapy Academy, we spent a whole night just talking about chassis, building chassis, race chassis, monocoque chassis, and we go into a lot more detail on what it takes to build a rigid race car. But just on the very basic side, what I can show you is what I do to stiffen up. Like, we started working on Fox cars, but they were just tin cans. So we started developing systems that improve the chassis rigidity. And we have, for like S95 and Fox cars, we have the matrix system, which consists of a subframe connector, jacking rail, and then also the matrix brace. And magically appears. Can you make it bigger? Here we go. Little words at the bottom are covering it up.
Oh, I can't get there.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, this is the matrix system, and you can see this is the subframe connector that goes from front to rear subframe connectors, and we actually improve that by adding the double cross with the originators of this type of subframe connector, which has been copied by a lot of people. And that bolts to the seat so that we reduce the span versus captured ratio. Also, that helps the actual subframe connector from twisting, which makes the whole really rigid. Now, this is the jacking rail we put along the pinch weld. And that way you can jack the car up anywhere along that pinch weld. And we kind of developed that back in '86 for the Sling race cars, endurance racing. I mean, you're jacking the car up a whole bunch, changed a lot of tires over 24 hours and brakes and all that. So by putting the jacking rail on, we could just zip the jack under, pull the one whole side up at one time. And then when we were in the pits, we put jack stands front and rear, which opened up the whole underneath. Anyway, that's a jacking rail. And we connect them with a matrix brace, which it goes from jacking rail to a subframe connector, and that actually goes to the subframe itself. What we do is you add 1, 2, 3, 4 triangulations per side. That's 8 total triangulations, and the difference that makes in chassis rigidity is pretty stunning. I mean, we've had people, not drive 100 yards and say that my car is completely different. So I mean, that's about the best. I get the best direction I can tell you. Triangulations without actually seeing your chassis. It's hard for me to say. Okay, I'm done with that one for now. Okay, so then like I say, if the car were here, I could come up with a whole bunch of stuff, and I've always wanted to completely rebuild one of those things and make it like a handling monster. But as far as the it's the ideal suspension geometry. Boy, I mean, that's the question is what suspension do you have to start with? Again, in the Speed Therapy Academy, we spent 2 whole weeks in suspension geometry. And what's interesting about that in the academy, every week there's for one subject there's like a PowerPoint presentation, and those PowerPoint presentations live in the resource part of the academy for people to go back and look at time and time again. The only immersion session that we did that the PowerPoint is not available for is geometry. And that's because I talk about things I really don't want out there. When you're in the academy, I share things that nobody else really knows. And so we don't, that's not available. But you learn a lot about suspension geometry. So, I mean, if you really want to learn about this stuff, sign up for the speed therapy. The Speed Therapy Academy. The next one starts first week of March. Now, we're originally going to start this week, but we had with the holidays coming up, we had a lot of people that they couldn't make it work. So we postponed. The next Speed Therapy Academy starts the first week of July. Boy, I'm getting way ahead of myself. First week of March. And it's 16-week course. And what we do is it's Tuesdays and Thursdays evening. And we'll take a subject like shocks or springs, chassis. And I'll do an entire, what we call immersion sessions, where we take a really deep dive. Things I talk about on Saturday mornings, we talk about in much deeper and more detail. So if you really want to learn about this stuff, join the Speed Therapy Academy. I know there's a lot of people out there guys out there that are alumni can attest to, the value they got out of it. So, I mean, that's about, the best I can do without seeing the car and knowing what's in there. Here's another good one. Bill, how do I improve handling on my boss? Learn suspension tips and setups and improve driving experience. Boom. The Academy is the best thing, but as far as handling, I mean, I've done all the research, I've done all the development, done the testing. All you have to do is bolt on AGS 4.0, which is the rear grip. There's only 3 parts to my suspension: the rear grip kit, the front grip kit, the springs and shocks. Every single piece in AGS 4.0, the rear grip kit, the front grip kit, every single piece has a positive impact on suspension geometry. We don't take one part off and put it back on. It's nothing more than a pre-OE replacement. Every single part has an impact on geometry. And we'll probably get into that in more detail another Saturday. More people ask about that. But you just bolt it on: front suspension, rear suspension, springs and shocks. And I'll help pick the spring rate that's best for you and doing something.
We're going to be doing a workshop on S197 too. So.
Oh, Carrie says we're going to be doing a workshop on S197 too. So, okay, I'm going to kind of go out of order here. Carrie said I should do the memory lanes Kenny Brown finds. Well, something really interesting happened this past week. Aside from unearthing a lot of stuff that was in back, I had a guy call me and said that he was looking for information on a Kenny Brown Celine, serial number M90-004E. And I went back and it was the E stands for Special Engineering Project. And he asked me how many Celines we did back then, and I knew it wasn't a lot. But here's the thing: I went back and looking that up. It just my trip down memory lane. Just in 1988 was the year after Celine. I mean, we did a lot of cars, but in '89 we were starting to do packages. That's when we started to serialize, the better cars. But just in 89 and 90, okay, we serialized 3. There was 3 Kenny Brown Celine Mustangs, 3 Kenny Brown Town Cars, 9 Kenny Brown Lincoln Mark 7 LSCs, Aerostar, Sport Ranger, Taurus SHO, Thunderbird. I mean, everybody thinks of me as just a Mustang guy. The types of different cars that I've worked on over the years is pretty extensive. Which brings me to something we stumbled across in the basement. This is from December 1988, Trucking Magazine. Okay, sports car with a bed. Remember I said I built sport trucks. St. Louis, we built Rangers. We built racing Rangers for the Celine truck program. We had other people want sport trucks. We built sport trucks. And another we ran across, which is from the same era. This is Mustangs Illustrated, winter 1989. There you go. Rocket ship. It's always back. Rocket ships built to order. And remember, there's me standing next to an engine dyno. Remember I said I was an engine guy? Well, I really was an engine guy. So I mean, it's just, a lot of these people out there that kind of protest that they're experts and know what they're talking about. asking what they were doing in 88 and 89. I was getting, building cars and putting them in magazines. And another one we ran across, this is another cool car. This is our 2000, what is this, 2003. It's our 2003 World Challenge Mustang Cobra, World Challenge Cobra, okay? The same suspension pieces that are on the AGS 3.5 for 99 for Cobras were on this car. The only difference, obviously, was racing shocks, much higher spring rates, and then we switched out the urethane bushings to Delron for racing. I don't like Delron on the street. So anyway, that's a little trip down memory lane. And I think we're going to probably pull more of that up as we unearth it. Just to show, hey, I'm not a one-trick pony, and B, I've been doing this for a really long time.
Why don't you have everybody comment if they like you showing the memorabilia, or if they want us to continue showing that once in a while?
Carrie said, if you want me to start show a little memorabilia every now and again, throw it in the comment, the comment column, and if you like it, then we'll keep doing it. And like I say, 40 years, the last since 1986, I pretty much focused on Mustangs. But also, as you can see, I've done Crown Vics, I've done Lincolns, I've done trucks, Expeditions, Explorers. If it's a car, I know how to make it better, plain and simple. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is. Mustangs just happen to be like, what I became known for after winning so many races, championships with racing Mustangs. Let's see. Oh, love it. Definitely. Show it all. Okay. That sounds like you want me to keep pulling stuff out. So every week we'll pull a little bit of something extra out. Calvin says it brings back all sorts of memories. Yeah, Calvin was there. I mean, he knows. Okay, let's get our tech before we run out of time. And be sure, if you got questions, send them in. Because we're going to be getting to questions here in a little bit. I think Herstopher already sent a question earlier that I'll get to. Herstopher he's not only a Speed Therapy Academy alumni, he's a regular on Cars and Coffee. He also lives in Bulgaria. So for the Speed Therapy Academy on Tuesday and Thursday, sometimes Wednesday evenings, he would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning just to participate. So we've got our fans all over the world. So Rich keeps getting questions on alignment. We've got my alignment specs you can find in the resource area of Speed Therapy Society. If you go to Speed Therapy Society, you will find, how would you do that? Anyway, you'll find my alignment specs. And the question Rich gets, why are they different from factory? First question, that's easy. Factory alignment specs are set up for fuel economy, tire wear, all the things that, just for driving down the highway. Well, we kind of drive down the highway on racetracks and on twisty roads, which means you have to make adjustments to the suspension alignment so that you get more tire contact. Okay, and again, we talked about this in the academy on the whole geometry thing. But in essence, just from the front end, a Mustang has what's called positive roll front suspension, which means the more the car rolls, the more the outside tire goes positive on camber. That means the bottom tips in, which means you wear the outside of your tires down. Any of you have been to track events where somebody go out with a bone stock car, run the daylights out of it, and there's all of a sudden there's outside of their tire is cords are showing and the brand new on the inside. That's because they're getting positive roll. So we add negative camber for handling. On the street, it's like -1 to -1.25 negative camber, maximum caster. All the caster a Mustang will take because caster is high-speed stability. It also helps with anti-dive in the front, and you've got to be a academy member to understand what I mean by that. And it also helps turn in and camber gain. It does a lot of things. But we add negative camber so that when you turn the wheels and the car wants to go positive, the tire's going to be flat on the surface, getting good contact back on track. And we're running really high speeds and the car wants to roll over more. We'll be running 2.5 to 2 3/4 negative camber typically on the hot side, and about half a degree less on the cold side. That's if the clockwise track, the out left would be the hot side. But the thing is, we've had people that say they're running 3 degrees negative camber and they want camber bolts add more. If you're at 3 degrees negative camber, it's not right. You should never be at that much negative camber because you're not putting very much tire on the ground. The first thing I'd say is increase your spring rate. The car's rolling too much. Next thing is, that'd be the first, the springs and shocks. You got to get a big spring in there. Real quickly, factory springs on the front of S197 are like 137 pounds. Aftermarket springs, you can buy off the shelf for maybe 200, 220 tops. My street performance package is 350. No, sport touring is 350. Street performance is 400. Intermediate track is 500, 550. And advanced track is 650. Spring rate, but you got to have the shocks to go with that, and you learn about that in the academy as well. And if that sounds like a lot, on my late son Paul's World Challenge car with JRZ Motorsport shocks, we were running 850 to 1,000 pounds for early slicks. So you got to put spring rate in. If the car is rolling, if you're tuning up the outside of that tire, you got to put more spring in. You should not ever be at 3 degrees negative camber. You should be living at that 2.5 is where you should be. And then also, as far as tow, everybody wants to put tow into a car, and we give our specs and they go to alignment shop, and the guy questions, tow out. We put like a 16th or negative 0.25, negative 0.3. The reason for tow out is tow out actually helps turn in. Okay, you can't have your front wheels with zero tow, because the zero tow, they're going to kind of do this going down. You need to be towed in or towed out to put a little scrub on them. So with tow out, the car will turn in a lot better. So that's why we're going to tow out in the front and in the back on IRS cars. It's 1.2 negative seems to be the best for handling, and we reverse it a 16th tow in. And the tow in is for just to keep the back tracking straight. So tow out front, tow in, and why I do it, 40 years of racing. I know what works. And that's why it's different. But you can actually get this. In the resource section of the Speed Therapy Society.
What is it called? The Kenny Brown.
Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society. Facebook group. Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society Facebook group. Okay, and here she comes, the computer, which means it's ready for questions. I'm ready for questions.
Did you finish?
Yeah, I think I've been through everything.
Okay, cool. While I'm getting set up here, why don't we all give Kenny some love and give him some thumbs up? That would be great.
Yeah, that helps. That helps, kind of spread it around, and
from a Facebook standpoint.
From a Facebook standpoint.
Yeah, play a bunch of games with Facebook. Okay, so let's start out with. Get to the comments. Okay, we have. Larry Martin is waiting for your radiator. He also has a brake question.
Okay.
And I need to find that. Larry Martin. So he should receive it. I think it shipped last week. So he should receive it.
Triple pass radiator?
Yep. Triple pass.
And that we developed a number of years ago. We worked with one of our suppliers and developed a triple pass radiator for Mustangs. We have SM95, SM97, and S550s. And real briefly, the triple pass, first of all, it's triple thick. It's a 3-core. It's also, there's the fins are smaller, which means overall there's like 17% more surface area. But with a triple pass, a single pass, the hot air comes in the top of the passenger side, kind of goes across and out the bottom, which means you don't get a lot of airflow or a lot of water flow in the corners. Stock car guys for years have run dual pass because it's mostly GM. I guess it works better for them where it goes in one side, around, and out the other side. Impractical for a Mustang because the ends on the passenger top and outs on the driver bottom. So we developed a triple pass. It comes in the top, goes across, makes a U-turn, goes back across, makes a U-turn, goes back across again. So by that, we're exposing the coolant or water, far more surface area and far more cooling, taking out more BTUs. We had one customer with a GT350 at Road America was having continual heating problems. It takes like 20 degrees out on the street and 30 degrees temperature out on track. It's pretty cool. I think Joe Johnson's going to be going for a triple pass radiator for his GT350 here pretty soon. So anyway, so what's a breaking question?
Well,
I got sidetracked on radiators.
Well, we're going to be having a triple pass radiator come to the shop with one of our cars. We custom, they're custom built, so we don't have them on the shelf.
Yeah, we don't have them on the shelf. They're built to order.
But anyway, so we'll be showing that on Cars and Coffee soon, along with S550. I know there's a question out there about S550s. We'll be showing S550 rear diff kit, differential kit as well. So here we go. Let's go we have lots of questions today. So we're going to run late today, guys. Larry. He has a wide body Fox that has 625 horsepower naturally aspirated. Wow. And weight is 2,900 pounds. He's running 1812 335 square, 1,000-pound front coil over springs, and 300 rear coil over springs. What's the best brake setup?
This sounds like it's a track car.
Yeah, Larry, why don't you comment if it's a track
car? A track car or just a super wicked street car?
And do you want to know that first?
Well, I mean, if he's running those type of tires, he's probably upgraded to 5-lug. And if he's 5-lug, then I mean, I got some really good brake options. For the front, if it's a street car, I mean, we've had a long and a very positive relationship with Bear Brakes, a very long relationship, and it is a track only. Okay, we got the brakes. If you've got SN95 spindles, 86 and newer, that's important. We've got the Pro 4R race brakes, and the Pro 4R is I want to do something with Bear that was really unique and specific to the Kenny Brown brand. And we started talking with Rick a number of years back at Bear, and we want to do something. Well, what happened back in 2011, my late son Paul in World Challenge went to the first World Challenge race with, it was a car we built. It was called a Boss S, but we built it before Boss S's were built, and Ford just tagged it Boss S so they could get the glory. But anyway, he showed up with really nice, the Bear 6-piston race brake setup. And the SECA looked at the rule book, nope, you got to run 4 pistons. So Bear went back and they developed a really nice 4-piston race brakes, which he used to dominate the series and win 3 championships. Anyway, talking to Rick, that had gone on the shelf. Had been sitting on a shelf ever since 2012. So we brought that out, and that was kind of the foundation. But from there, we added every single feature that you would find in like a Brembo GTR race brakes, which are what, $8,500 an axle set. And we package this into, it's a 4-piston rather than 6-piston. 4 pistons lighter than a 6-piston. We get the same clamping force, but we also like lighten the caliper. It's got all kinds of. We can send it. We can send you a brochure on that. But it takes the same brake pad. Okay, the same brake pad profile as the 6-piston race brakes, except we set it up so it takes a 25 millimeter brake pad. If you work that out, that's 0.98 inch thick front brake pad. So I mean, that's the race brakes to have. We got a whole range of compounds. You're not, for the money, it's like $3,900, I think. Compared to same features as race brakes cost twice as much. And then for the back, if you're not running a C-lock or C-clip in the back, we've also got the rear Pro-4Rs for the rear. Although we run the standard 6-piston race caliper or race pad in the back, that's for Hog the HP 122 profile and 0.71 thick for the back. So when we got the race brakes, you're not going to find anything better for the price. Also, the rotors are R-spec rotors. They weigh, I think, like 7 pounds less than normal rotors, but they cool better. So yeah, you want really great brakes. That's 15 minutes. We can talk about it and get you some information. I mean, it's like major stopping power. Just think about a brake pad. It's an inch thick. I mean, not only will it last longer, but handles heat better. It does all kinds of good things.
Okay, we've got lots of questions, so
better hurry up. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think these guys need to get another cup of coffee or something. So here
okay, you guys are in luck. I'm only halfway through my coffee because I've been talking so fast.
So just a quick note, Zach is with us. You remember Zach photographs Maryland and the 25th anniversary.
Hey, Zach.
He's an awesome photographer. Awesome.
If you guys are looking for a really good photographer, Zach is it. All the pictures that you see of like Maryland on the cars website.
A lot of our other cars.
And a lot of our other cars. Zach was the clicker guy behind that.
In fact, let's see. Good. Okay, so here's another one from Jimmy Edwin from Perfection.
Larry says S197 front, no problem. The Pro-4Rs we have for SN95 and S197.
Okay, here's another question. When you were talking about that the IRS, you can put them in a Fox and a GT SN95. Any chance of installing an IRS in the S197?
S197. I've not looked into that. It's a packaging issue. When doing like a whole IRS clean sheet of paper is a pretty labor and cost intensive project. And I just never looked into it. We start doing the math, the investment in R&D, you have to sell a whole lot of units. But I'm glad you asked. I've done something that will blow your mind as far as rear suspension. That's what we've been talking about. In fact, we worked on it for years, a lot of years. It's patent pending. We applied for a patent on it, and it just does things to the rear suspension of Mustang that nothing else does. And we'll hopefully by mid-month, maybe towards the end of the month. What we wanted to do, we actually introduced it first. As soon as we got the patent filed, we introduced it to Speed Therapy Academy guys, and they had the first opportunity to get that suspension on their cars, and just about all of them did. And then the next introduction is going to be for Speed Therapy Society people. And then at sometime in the spring, we'll introduce it to the general public. But it is, let's just say we did like 2 years of prototype testing. And on one of our main test guy, races down in Texas, rough tracks, he drives like crazy. He just breaks stuff so we said here, try to break it. He didn't break it. He did help us with identify some potential durability on wear issues that we updated twice for him, and then we've updated again for production. Just long story short, we put it on his car. He typically ran 10th, 11th, second or third in class, pretty regularly. The first weekend was on his car, boom, third. Put him right on the podium at third. I had a long debrief with him, talking about how the car worked. I thought, man, we need to increase spring rates. We increased the rear spring rate a lot. He took the car to Dakota, put it on the pole 3 days in a row. Won the first 2 races, was leading the third when he missed a shift or something and hurt the transmission or clutch, and he was wounded, but he still salvaged third. That's what this thing does. It's got a lot of people talking about it. The Academy guys know, and then the society people are going to know before the general public.
So that will be coming up shortly.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, it does things. Yeah. It's like I say, it's years and years and years of work to get it.
Okay, so here we go. Actually, Steve Foley's on today, and he's getting one. I was curious. There's a Chuck Foley also. I was wondering if you guys were related or not. Steve Foley and Chuck Foley, why don't you comment? Kenny will look for the comment. Okay, also here's another question. I'm losing my questions, there's so many. Steve Foley said, any chance of future track days with Kenny class once COVID is gone?
I would say possibly. I mean, it's unfortunate right now. We're really, as a lot of people know, we had to, after our bad relationship in Chicago, we've had to rebuild this thing from scratch. So we kept been pretty much focused on that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just itching to get back to the track. So at some point, I'm not going to make any promises, but at some point. What did Kobe ask about? Oh, I lost Kobe's question.
Kobe? It was probably at the end, and I can't lose my point. He absolutely loves history, and I know he has the IRS on his car too.
Oh, Kobe has, let's see, camber plates, also camber bolts. We recommend the strut mounts being all the way out, all the way in, and adjust the final camber with the bolts. Okay, typically with the S197, with the front grip kit, with the geometry changes we have, with the right spring rate, we don't use camber bolts. I mean, we get everything we need right from the top. But as far as adjusting, if we're going to do it, I'd add a degree of camber first to the bolts on the bottom, and then you've got more room at the top. Depending on what camber plate you have. But remember, all the caster get, just get the top of those struts as back as far as they'll go. But, you know, if you listen to any of the handling stuff, you know, you work with your barometer, you get your tire pressure first, and then you start working on camber with your barometer, and you start in and work your way out.
Okay, so here's Christopher's question. He actually gave us a question before the Academy, or the Cars and Coffee. He says, I have a question regarding mixing and matching tires for street driving. Is it okay to have different compound tires, for example, hard fronts and soft rears for the street? How will this affect handling of the car? Now he does street, you know, he knows street. And,
yeah, okay, it just depends on how hard you're driving. I mean, if you're just driving around the street, it's not a problem. If you start driving hard, what impact it would have on handling would make the car push, and which means understeer. And the reason for that is your rear tires are going to have way more grip than the front, and they're going to balance, are going to overpower, and you know the car is going to pick up a push if you drive it really hard. Now, if you're just driving it to and from the track or around town, I don't think it'd be a whole lot of difference. But I mean, you've got sticky, let's say sticky slick, so that not slick as in slicks, but as slick as in slippery. So you would be sort of overpowering as far as balance. Your tires would be out of balance. Okay, next.
Okay, so we also have, let's see, Chuck Foley. He is wondering if he has an S550, and he's wondering if you can talk about more handling and stuff, or you have it on the S550.
Okay, the S550s, I got to tell you, Ford did an absolutely knockout job on the 550s. The chassis are really rigid. They've got you know an advanced type. They've got a double link front McPherson strut, IRS rear. They've done a lot of work on that car to make it work. It's interesting is moving in time from when we started doing in the mid '80s, doing the Fox cars through time. You know, every new generation of Mustang has gotten better, and the 550s are they're so much better. In fact, we really don't need to do much to it. I mean, it's so good. But we do, we've got jacking rails, which everybody needs jacking rails. And our jacking rails are a little different. They're not just a bar that bolts up underneath. It's actually a fabricated jacking rail. I mean, by fabricated, it starts with sheet steel, and we cut it and bend it, and then weld it. So that there's what it bolts to underneath is at a 5-degree angle. And a lot of the jacking rails that are out there bolt in, and they're at a 5-degree angle, which means you're just jacking up on an edge. We actually fabricated it, so it's kind of like a what do you call it when something's not really a rectangle?
Oh, okay, I lost it now. I could have told.
Yeah, and anyway, so it's the pattern. So it's got a 5-degree where it bolts. It's a 5-degree angle, and then it's flat at the bottom. So, but outside of that, just springs and shocks, front sway bar. No, I do not change rear sway bars. The back of the car can get pretty loose on its own, but I do. We've got a couple different spring and shock packages. We're putting more spring into them. We've got a 550 car, Kelly's car, we've been using to develop. I've got Sport Touring spring and shock package with our JRZ single adjustables. You've got a street performance, intermediate track, and an advanced track, using all the same shocks, just different spring rates. I mean, just putting springs and shocks on them. And the other thing is we put, if you've got like the performance package, we've got 2-piece slotted rotors, which are a huge improvement for braking. And then we've also got like big brake kits. We've got like a standard 6-piston brake kit. We've got a monster 15-inch brake kit. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to do a lot to really make them work. But again, set up a 15-minute, we can talk about it.
Okay, so Brian West, trapezoid.
Trapezoid, thank you, Brian. Yeah.
Brian's always there to help us.
Yeah. Brian is kind of like he's an alumni. He's kind of like a mini encyclopedia. He always comes up with stuff for us. But yeah, okay. the subframe connectors are a trapezoid.
Okay, we also have, I think I'm missing a couple questions here. I'm going to add, this is, so Bridget started a watch party, and these are the comments that are coming in from her watch party.
Oh, yay, Bridget.
So Matt Sluss, I'm not going to pronounce your last name, I guess, has an old 03 Cobra Kenny Brown poster. You remember Cobra posters?
Yes.
Do you?
That's the black one? Is that the black one?
I don't know. Ask, Matt, why don't you respond, and Bridget will get back to us on that. He also has.
That's a black one. We actually still have some of those.
Oh, are those the ones?
Yeah, we in moving around, we found a big box of them.
Yeah. So I guess we do still have those posters. John Salmon wants, heck yes, on talking about more memory stuff, some of the stories. Wright says that sure, it's fun to see if I might have any of the magazines in the collection that features your incredible work. John Salmon says, good old days, your system is so awesome. We used to use truck springs. So that's cute. Fred Fancher, I have the history behind the builds. That's what makes the story real. Jay Myers, great topics today as usual. So anyway, just keep up the good work.
Well, I try. I mean, it's like, we started this because people just, I do like these tech seminars at like track days and other like guest speaker things. And people always come up to me and say, man, if I could just tap into your brain. Well, that's why we started the whole Cars and Coffee thing. That's why we do the workshops. And that's what the Speed Therapy Academy is about. Oh, I got my nifty Speed Therapy Academy shirt on. Yeah, because Speed Therapy Academy, you get a nifty shirt, you get a notebook. And the reason for that is all the immersion sessions are, like I said, they're PowerPoint. So you can download them, 3-hole punch them, stick them in your notebook for reference, except the geometry one.
Okay, and Tim Allen says, when this is regarding when you were showing the Ranger Truckin' Magazine, he says, holy cow, Truckin' Magazine, what engines were in the Rangers?
They had the 2.3 overhead cam.
Okay, so that's that. And I think we almost have all the questions. Lots of yes to the memorabilia. Steve Smith, Tim Allen, Brad Calvin, Chris Pergio, Larry Martin, Dave Robinson. He's been here with us every single show, and he's from Niagara on the Canadian side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get a little gold star or something to send to him.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it coming. Love the older cars and trucks. Chuck Foley said that. Roy Wallace, the older photos give me an idea from my 03 NASA Road Racer. Tim Allen said the best.
If you've got a NASA, if you're racing NASA with a Mustang, let me see if I can help you.
So I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but this is regarding your question, Chuck Foley. Alignment specs. Tim Allen said the line specs are outstanding, and Herstifer has a S550, and all he did was, well, he's done a lot of things.
Yeah,
why don't you tell us?
Yeah, Herstifer, we got a little note from Herstifer that said that the biggest improvement he made to this 550 car, this is Herstifer in Bulgaria, the biggest improvement he made on his 550 car was using my alignment specs. I mean, they work. I mean, it's like the whole purpose of our program and why my S197 suspension only has a front grip kit, rear grip kit only, as a system is, I mean, I worked this stuff out over a lot of years. I've done all the engineering, I've done the development, I've done the testing. So all you have to do is bolt my stuff on and transforms your car.
Okay, and Matt says that yes, he's going to send a picture of the 03 Cobra poster that you have. He says it's on his wall in his old room at his folks' house. So anyway, I think that is it. I think. Okay, yeah. Tim Allen said he didn't get to use the graph paper, but he used every single sheet of the line paper you sent in the folder for and during the academy. That's cool. So anyway, I think that's it. We have a lot of really cool things coming up this year. We're gonna get into some cooling, diff coolers,
radiator coolers,
and we're gonna be having some guests.
That's gonna be a really cool show.
Are you excited about? Oh God, I didn't even get that. Okay, okay. I think we need to end it. Joe Johnson has one comment. One of the greatest parts of the Speed Academy was at times Kenny brought in the experts on various systems, tuning, wheels, driving instructor, etc. Great sessions.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's another part of the academy is we bring in. It's I know what I know, but there's people that know more than me in other areas. So we try to bring in. We call it master class. I know a lot of people in the industry, and we'll bring somebody in, and they'll do a whole evening. They'll talk like maybe 20, 30 minutes. And then it opens up for questions. The thing about the academy, by the way, it's not like this. It's not like Facebook or anything. It's in Zoom. So it's like when it's in Zoom, everybody's by there. I look out and I have like the Brady Bunch of everybody's there, so everybody can participate. So that's what's kind of cool about it. I mean, it's like you're right there in the room with me. And then we have the speed therapy. I mean, the master class comes in and all our guys get to ask questions. That was a very popular thing.
Okay, we're going to cut this short. Well, I don't know if it's short, but just one more thing. If you haven't signed up for the Kenny Brown newsletter, make sure you sign up for it. It's some really great articles in there. This past week, we did one on a customer profile on a GT500 RS. Yeah, that was in the King of Street competition. Did really well.
As a side note, he wanted to do the King of Street, and it's a GT500, but he only had what 800 horsepower.
840. Yeah.
840 horsepower. But the comments came out. It was the absolute best driving King of Street car, the best driving and handling King of Street car ever. That's 197 suspension, rear grip kit, springs and shocks.
And they judge it on a whole bunch of things, and it was the most popular among the people at the event. So anyway, that is pretty cool. So next week.
What are we doing next week?
I think if everything comes in, we're doing cooling.
Oh, I think if everything comes in, we're doing cooling. If not, I mean, again, send your questions in through the society. And I craft my Saturday morning talk with you. Right now it can be fireside chat because it's pretty darn chilly out there. But I craft my Saturday mornings all around what you want to know about. I mean that's the whole purpose of this. You tell me what you want to know about, and I'll share what I can. Okay, if that's it, we're going to wrap up. Wait a second. Okay, finish my coffee. Now we can wrap up. So, okay, everybody, I get too wound up. Yeah. It's been nice seeing you all. I really appreciate the comments. We'll dig out some more memorabilia and see what we can come up with for you guys. Because, I mean, there's a lot. And there's a one point in time we had, we listed all the magazines that we were in. It was like 10 pages, single space, 2 columns.
Okay, I'm going to extend it one more time because Kenny and I are having a debate here. I think we should hang Kenny Brown stuff up on the wall along with his art collection. He doesn't want to because it's him up on the wall. Let us know give me a yes if you want.
It'd be just distracting from this beautiful face here.
Okay, anyway, give me a yes if you want more Kenny Brown artwork up on the wall. Okay, so, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. She's going to talk more Kenny Brown artwork, so it's time to. My coffee's gone. I hope you enjoyed it. I try to do the best I can, and hopefully we're going to have a really cool deal next week. Okay. But if not, send your questions in, and
I'll talk about what you want to learn about. So until then, have a good rest of your weekend.